Good morning, everybody. How's everyone doing? I hope you're all keeping safe in the comforts of your own homes. My name is Lexi Schulze, and I'll be your host for today. Welcome to Way Forward, lessons learned from the Maison&Objet Digital Fair. Adapting to the changes brought about by COVID-19, Maison&Objet, one of the world's most important French trade fairs for design, migrates to a digital space this season. Despite this shift, the Philippines was able to participate in the trade fair, led by 13 brands organized by the Center for International Trade Expositions and Missions, or CITEM. With everyone's efforts, we were able to conduct product development and mount a curated virtual exhibition to bring Philippine design to the world stage. This morning, we will reflect on the lessons learned and challenges that our delegation had to overcome in their first foray into digital trade shows. The digital platform is really dynamic. The learning process is, of course, never ending, and anyone can begin learning the ropes at any time. So, for everyone tuned in today, this session is an opportunity to learn more about this new way of conducting trade shows. To give us an overview of our participation at the Maison&Objet and More digital fair, let us all welcome the Executive Director of CITEM, the woman responsible for enabling us to continue telling our stories of Philippine design excellence to the world, Executive Director Pauline Suaco Juan.
Thank you for the introduction, Lexi. It is my pleasure to welcome you all this morning. Thank you for taking the time to join us as we look at what we have learned and gained from the Maison and Objet Digital Fair. The road to Maison and Objet 2020 was anything but straightforward. Prior to the pandemic, we had already prepared for our physical participation in the said show. Pavilion spaces had been booked and product development started as early as February, which we kept on doing until March, hoping that all things would go well. Then the world went into lockdown, and we had to immediately regroup and rethink our strategies. In the next few slides, we'll be going through some facts and figures about our participation at MNO 2020. I hope this session will allow us to learn from each other's experiences and insights so that we can help those who are also keen on starting their digital journey for exports. COVID-19 has forced businesses around the world to rethink its strategies. The exhibition industry was forced to consider whether going hybrid with a digital and face-to-face event would be feasible. Some digital trade shows like Maison and Objet or MNO looked into creating complementary digital versions to help companies function under this new normal. We decided to monitor the overseas trade fair industry and decided to join the shift to digital participation. We canceled our application to MNO's on-site show to join their digital platform, the Maison and Objet and More, or MOM. Uh, the Maison and Objet Digital Fair on MOM was staged on September 4 to 18 through, as I said, their platform MOM, and featured digital events such as design talks alongside digital showrooms. Our goal in joining the digital fair were number one, to provide continued visibility for Philippine products to global buyers, to generate buyer leads, to raise brand awareness for Philippine companies, and to embrace digitalization. We were able to benefit from MOM's digital traction. Based on the results reported, MOM received over 214,000 unique visitors during the fair. The website was viewed 2.4 million times and had an engaged community of more than 1.4 million subscribers on their social media accounts. Their audience, trade and business professionals. This is the theme we created for the Design Philippines participation at the MOM Digital Fair. CITEM engaged a professional digital content producer that creatively put together and told our stories to project a strong, cohesive image and ensure that our participation will have traction, attract attention, and make a good impression on MOM's users. 13 brands and companies joined the Philippine participation at the MOM Digital Fair. Albero, Shanali, Imurio Manila, Finale, Indigenous, JB Plus, Nature's Legacy, Prado Filipino Artisans, PNB Valises, Weave Manila, Venson Lighting and Objects, Zacarias 1925, and Zarate Manila. We brought back Rita Nazareno and Gabi Lichauco to become our curators and provide creative direction. Anchored on the theme Bubble Living by Kindred Design Creatives, we showcased over 250 collections at MOM. Our exhibitors launched over 140 new designs in their digital storefronts. Part of producing content for our MOM Digital Fair participation was a 7-day photo shoot in 2 studios and featured articles that were sent to local and international media. We engaged up to 50 creatives, including photographers, set designers, writers, hair and makeup artists, a model, stylists, art directors, and graphic artists to come up with a highly curated participation. Content production during MECQ was one of the biggest logistical challenges we've had to overcome. Our content production team, led by Vince Uy, built set designs from scratch and worked under unusual circumstances, like having to wear PPEs, getting tested for COVID, and working under time pressure to finish before curfew. Our curators monitored the photo shoot via live streaming. Our companies from Cebu and Cagayan de Oro had to stage their own photo shoot as their products did not make it in time due to the delays in shipment caused by quarantine rules. We launched combined paid and organic online promotion. We also promoted Kindred on MNO's official pages and through special features in local media. Our products landed on the list of favorites by trend experts and influencers, including Patty Carpenter, an award winning creative director and global trend ambassador for Maison&Objet. Our participation in MOM also paved the way for our brands to be featured in WGSN's Maison&Objet Digital Fair report. The WGSN, as I'm sure you are aware of, is a global authority on consumer design trends that monitors product impact in several industries. Our products featured prominently on the cover and in 4 out of 8 trends mentioned in the magazine. Exhibitors have reported over 1.9 million in booked $1.9 million dollars in booked orders and sales undergoing negotiations as of October 15, which is a 10% increase in sales compared to our 2019 physical fair participation. We have also recorded over 540 inquiries from more than 300 unique visitors during the MOM Digital Fair. This is not yet the final figure, as we have a 1-year subscription to MOM, which means our products will be on the website until next year and they will be able to accommodate more inquiries. We are tracking buyer inquiries in real time, and we are seeing interest and inquiries for our products increase day by day. Going digital also resulted in a significant decrease in our participation costs. Without the need for travel expenses, space rentals, and booth construction, Sitem was able to cut expenses by 44%. We spent our budget this year on content production, social media advertising, and participation packages. These figures are indicative of the commercial viability of our products and the demand of our buyers. Still, several factors may come into play that may change these figures, among them shipment costs, competitive pricing, and the ability of the companies to deliver the buyer's requirements. In our study for Manila Fame, we learned that the two most important factors that trade buyers consider when purchasing from Philippine companies are: number one, the company's compliance to requirements and standards, and number two, shorter lead time for delivery. To date, we have generated over 500 leads from across 63 countries, the majority of which come from Europe. Among the countries that have confirmed or booked orders and ongoing sales negotiations are France, Spain, Italy, Belgium, Turkey, Russia, the UK, the US, Australia, India, UAE, and Thailand. Our buyer profiles range from small boutique retailers to department stores, wholesalers, distributors, and specifiers. Based on previous Manila Fame info, the US and Australia have always been part of our top 5 buyers. Previous study from Manila Fame showed that the primary reasons why trade buyers source at trade shows were to meet new suppliers and to see new products, which reinforces the need for us to conduct product development and launch new collections for this participation. The products that received the most inquiries were Candy Lamps by Zacharias, receiving inquiries from several parts of Europe. Marmor Cast Collection by Nature's Legacy from France, Belgium, USA, and Australia. The Brick Chair by Zarate, where inquiries came from Portugal, Thailand, and the USA. Don Papa Bar by E. Murillo, with inquiries from parts of Europe as well. Largo Sculpture and Stad Couch Chair by Finale. Um, Inquiries came from France. And the Benjamin Lamp by Venzon. Likewise, the inquiries came from France as well. We recorded over 1.03 million impressions, or the number of times our products and brands were displayed or seen by MOM users. Out of that, 13,395 visits were directed to our product sheets. Users clicked on our links more than 1,600 times since we launched in September. What we observed in our 1 month presence at MOM: companies that update and replenish their account appear more frequently in the top position of the site. Companies with the most number of uploaded products receive the most number of inquiries. Majority of buyers requested catalogs and quotations and mostly clicked on the exhibitor's company websites. Companies actively promoting in social media reported more local traction. They have received more inquiries through direct messages on their social media accounts, WhatsApp, and other messaging platforms since we started the campaign for MOM. We also observed how timing of upload impacts our product reach and inquiries, and that subsequent instead of one-time content uploads increases visibility. Why is it important to be discoverable and easily seen in a website like MOM? The number of times your products or brands have been displayed, essentially refers to the number of times your brand or product appeared when a buyer searches for a product under a certain category in MOM. In Instagram speak, this would be considered as impressions. For example, there are more than 5,000 products featured in the furniture and seats category at MOM. And Zarate's product appeared at the top of the search results as a featured product, making it easier for buyers to discover his brand when looking into the furniture category. We can summarize what we learned so far from our first foray into digital trade into these key points. The extensive reach of MOM enabled our brands to reach buyers and territories we otherwise would not have access to. That As in all digital marketing platforms, proper content planning and distribution are important to optimize discoverability. With over 50,000 products vying for buyers' attentions in the platform, strong, high quality images are king. But maintaining visibility and buyers' interest largely depended on the brand's activities. Ultimately, the platform has requirements and algorithms of its own which are beyond our control. What's within our control is how we respond and provide for these requirements, how we modify our behavior and see the platform as dynamic, as a live, dynamic tool that needs to be sustained and invested in with time, manpower, and resources if we want to produce lucrative results for our business. In the end, the absence of a physical show gave birth to something more creative, dynamic, and accessible. The internet gave us the benefit of discoverability, connectivity, and allowed us to showcase Filipino talent and design excellence right from our country. Our experience with MOM has encouraged us to work hard and maximize our opportunity to show our products online through our very own Fame Plus and relevant digital fairs around the world. Our speakers today are eager to share their insights with you. So we hope that at the end of the session, you will get valuable and practical information that will help you prepare in joining a digital trade fair or even when joining Fame Plus. We would love to see your digital storefront at our new online platform. Thank you for joining us and have a great session ahead.
Thank you so much for all of those insights, Edie Pauline. I mean, it's so interesting and it's so joyful to hear that, our Philippine products were so well received and continue to be because I believe that MOM is a year-long event. Now, through initiatives like MOM, Philippine design has been able to pivot amid challenges and reach new markets and audiences through the digital sphere. We look forward to having more designers and artisans on digital trade platforms and witness everyone's success. Edie Pauline will be joining us later during the panel discussion. If you have any questions for her, you can actually leave them in the chat box and we will be taking them and hopefully we get to answer everyone's questions. Now, following the success of their initial collaboration with Saitem, let's hear from our esteemed designers and artists on how they adapt and respond to today's times. They were the driving forces responsible for curating the Philippines' participation in the Maison&Objet Digital Fair and showcasing Philippine design to the world. One of our curators is a former Emmy Award winning creative services television producer who is now at the helm of her family's fine crafts business, SC Viscara. The other half is a Milan trained industrial designer and a seasoned exhibitor in various international shows. It is my distinct honor to introduce Rita Nazareno and Gabi Lichauco, along with 3 of the 13 Philippine exhibitors to MNO Digital Fair. Tisha De Borja of Imurio, Manila. We also have Jackie Benson of Benson Lighting and Objects. And we have Lolita and Nicole Cabanlet of Indigenous, formerly CDO Handmade Paper. But for now, we're going to talk first to Rita and Gabby. They were the ones who helped curate the whole thing. So the fact that, a lot of people were taking notice of how we've actually presented ourselves, that's such it made me super proud. Thanks for joining me, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you. Good
Hi.
morning.
Good morning. So let
Morning.
me toss you a question, and I know you guys have so much to share, so I'll leave the floor to you. But how was your experience putting together the Philippines' first ever curated digital participation in Maison and Objet Digital Fair, and your learnings from it? Because I'm sure that everyone learns along the way, but with your expertise, I'm sure it was sort of a piece of cake. Go for it, guys.
Well, basically, for background, Gabby and I curated MNO in September 2019 in Paris, and we're tasked again this year So by February, we already had a plan for the physical space, as Pauline mentioned, in Paris, had meetings with the possible participants, and basically had a theme and design elements that we were going to use consistently throughout. So that, when a buyer walks towards our booth, they'll see those consistent elements through 13 or 15 different companies that will tie it together, while using the same minimal, bright, airy, and very welcoming feel that was such a success for our booth the year before. We were going to do 1, 3, and 6 square meter islands for different companies to exhibit. So they were pretty compact, but because of the move to the digital, because of the pandemic, that obviously completely changed. We now had to curate and or develop about 25 products per company, which is the number of products available per exhibitor page on the MNO platform. So Gabby and I had to really be flexible and adapt, and that ability to adapt and be flexible will run throughout the entire process and pretty much serve us well. Gab?
Yeah, so as I guess when the project slowly started moving, we also had to adapt to how we can do product development in Zoom. Initially, with the team of Saitem, we're like, okay, how do we go about developing new designs for them? And as we go along, we would be like, okay, maybe we should adapt, change certain procedures along the way. And I think that kind of helped us deal with this remote way of designing for these clients. Rita?
Yeah, there's the collaborative process also, and our aesthetics. That trust is also very important that we found. For example, Prado. It was the first time that Gabby and I worked. Hi, sorry about that, the little technical glitch. Let me just jump in. Let me continue now. We were talking about the collaborative process and our aesthetics. So, for example, with Sir Mike of Prado, it was the first time Gabby and I worked with him, and we wanted to do these abstract cloud-like pieces with his wires, metal wires. And he was a bit apprehensive at first and wanted to do more literal clouds, but we wanted to expand his collection, include more contemporary abstract pieces. So I'm glad we both, had this lovely collaborative listening to each other kind of thing. And the abstract clouds were actually chosen by WGSN in one of their trend reports that Pauline mentioned. And same with the bee rug with Weave Manila, also chosen by WGSN. From the get-go, they were so excited to see what we had come up with. So that was really great, no? Right, Gab?
Yeah, I think the success to a creative collaboration is when everybody, both companies and designers, are all on board. With being the designer and curator, Rita and I made sure that we would choose pieces that are kind of like new to the audience, especially for looking at the European audience. Also, we made sure that these pieces are original. Again, moving to the digital platform, a trade show like that gives the buyers, gives these companies a wider audience, but also bigger opportunity. At the same time, there's also that scrutiny from audiences and buyers again to see if these pieces are original. So I guess what I'm trying to say also is we're very careful with intellectual property, as it's been a rampant thing going on ever since, especially with trade shows. So Rita and I made sure, and we're very conscious about that part. Rita.
Yeah, I think intellectual property is huge, and I think we'll talk about it a little later on. But yeah, another thing I think that's also very important is how we connect to each other, how you talk it out. Like we have different groups with the different exhibitors. For example, with Tisha, we find that the group where we can exchange ideas and our fears and our concerns is really very helpful. So the transparency is important. Like with indigenous CDO, we would message from the very start, from the design process to prototyping. They would send us photos. That's so helpful through the photo shoot, even after during the trade show itself. So it's so helpful when you stay connected to each other. Another thing that we wanted to share was that now that there's this wider digital market, your older pieces, which are classic to you that you've seen thousands of times, they're new to many others. So you create new content for that. So for example, the Don Papa Morio bar that Gabby and I saw, and they thought it was such a beautiful piece. That was old for them, but that's also very new for us, and they got quite a bit of traction, as you said, as Pauline said earlier. She also mentioned that photography, we cannot stress how important it is. It was invaluable that Pauline got Vince and Co Studio. They shared our vision, and it was very collaborative, and they created images that pushed our pieces together to another level. I mean, at the end of the day, they look expensive. It was contemporary and intricate, and not simply just ethnic. It was contemporary craft, and that's why WGSN and trendsetters like Patty Carpenter picked us up, because the images were well directed. She did say quality content is king. So Gab.
Yeah. So we again back to that. Our vision, Rita and I, our vision is to push contemporary art. Contemporary design through craft and innovation. And through the show, I think that was one of our focus really. Again, I think Rita has that bug in the back of her view, so that's one of the things that we've kind of reimagined for Prado.
Yeah.
Again, little things, little adjustments, I think makes a big difference for the buyers and for the companies themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, and in terms of local retail also, that really, I think that really did very well, I think. And I'm here under two hats as exhibitor and co-curator. So as an exhibitor, I just have to stress the importance of a well-designed catalog. That's what the buyers will download into their laptops and into their phones and look at. I got a graphic designer who did it for me. She's young, she's got fresh eyes, so that helped. And also the line sheet, it can't anymore be those like tiny Excel sheets where you can barely see the photo. That needs to be well designed too. And another important thing to note is that nowadays we have to be very patient as exhibitors. It's not immediate return anymore. Gone are the days of our parents and our grandparents where a couple of buyers will order like big quantities in the container loads. Now it's kind of offset with like smaller orders but more buyers because it's more global because of the bigger reach. So these digital platforms allow more buyers, I think, to see more products and without spending on plane tickets and hotels. Same thing for us. We can use that budget for content. Another thing about being patient, buyers now want a relationship with you to make sure that they have the same values, that we have the same values. We have a buyer that I met in Maison in September 2019. It took us a whole year for us to get an order, which we just sent out like 2 weeks ago. We don't mind that at all, but that's how it goes now. Last thing, aside from the design and execution of the prototypes, as well as the importance of photography and content that need to be directed very well. Social media is also important in looking at various other pathways to get your product seen. So it's imperative that in this digital age that we do that. And hopefully we can talk more about it later. And we can talk about the success of Nature's Legacy and Zarate regarding their social media and their commitment as well. As well as there were some that weren't so proactive, so it wasn't as successful. So I think we're running out of time. So maybe we can talk about that a little later in the Q&A. So thank you, Lexi.
Well, you know what? There are a lot of takeaway words: patience, wonderful photography, refresh old to make it look new, and also collaboration, which brings me to my next two. Thank you so much, Rita and Gabby, for all of your insights. Now we're going to talk to those who you have collaborated with. So first, let's bring in Tisha de Borja of Imurio, and also we have Jackie Benson, and she has her own lighting company as well. Thank you so much for joining me, ladies. And I'm sure that it was a wonderful, wonderful experience for you both to collaborate with Rita and Gabby because, they have so many ideas. But as they said, you have to bring your own ideas to the table as well. So how was your experience with them and participating in the M&O fair as well? Maybe we can start with you, Tisha.
Hi, Lexi. So it was my second time to join, and the first time was with Gabby and Rita last year. And obviously, this was a very, very different scenario. We had started the usual way, meeting in the workshop, and then suddenly we shifted to doing things online. So I remember, like somewhere in the middle, just carting home a bunch of prototypes, half-done items that I needed to photograph. I mean, I brought home lights, wires, electrical tape, just so I could cobble together some form of lighting. And Rita was just telling me, do everything in portrait mode and everything will be nicer. So it's really just a way of finding how to make things work and really just hoping that, we would all reopen soon. And I think that a lot of it was also um, working with Gabby and Rita because working with them was very fluid. We throw a lot of ideas around, we reject some, but it was always done in person in our workshop over chicken and asal, which we couldn't do anymore. But the nice thing was that we always continued these conversations online. So in that sense, the transition was quite seamless. And I think Gabby said it earlier that we have a similar outlook, and he talked about a contemporary craft, and that's what we are trying to do. So it's really just being able to trust that in the vision of the creator, trust in the vision of the curator, and then to trust that they see something in your work that you don't always recognize, or like Rita was saying, the Papa Bar cart. We've had it for I don't know how many years, and then they saw it, and it was such a surprise to me because it never really took off. Um, so yeah, so I mean, it's really just working with people who will nudge you in different directions and who open up different avenues of thought for you.
Well, when we were talking a few days ago, you really said that for you anyway, and your designs and your brand, the physical fair helped tremendously because being able to chat with the people that you were talking to, it felt really important to you. But what is the feedback of the local buyers first with all of your products during the digital fair? Because the shift, did you feel it, and did your buyers feel it, and are they welcome to the change?
I think so. I mean, we had to find a way to recreate that rapport, but do it online. And um, it was really something that in the beginning we were doing the prescribed time of posting something, I think at 9 at noon and then at 5, but then we realized that if we wanted a global audience, we had to do this in different time zones. So we looked at the different time zones we wanted to create an audience in. We looked at what would pieces would be relevant in those time zones, and then sort of map out a whole new strategy. And so, really, at that time, I was up pretty much 24 hours a day because I wanted to be the first contact with the buyers because you want to recreate that rapport. And it worked because, the local buyers and foreign buyers were, they would end up showing me photos of their house or of their store and saying, what would look nice here? And then would expand the conversation to even lighting, paint colors, wallpapers, fabric. So it was really just going with the flow and just trying to um, reimagine that rapport online.
Well, you know what? You couldn't exactly be online 24/7, although I believe you when you say it. But I know at some point you had two people or more taking care of your social media sites, because for you, I think the importance is being able to answer them right away. That's super important. And you have different time zones because let's say someone from France is interested, and you also need to know exactly what products you think that particular time zone would be interested in. Is this correct?
Yeah, so I think um, we had to show a sort of a consistency and a reliability. So if someone messages, what is important is that to message back right away. And even if we didn't know the answer, we would just say, sorry, we can't tell you right now, but we will let in a couple of hours. And in the office, we had one person just dedicated to answering the emails, to sending out catalogs, and then even revamping our catalogs as necessary. Maybe one client wanted something more contemporary, so sending that out with just a contemporary collection. So it is really just you had to create a feeling of trust, which was much harder online.
But how are you with the new clients? Because well, obviously you've had your local clientele is very strong. But how are you with the new clients? Because obviously this is worldwide now. You've got France, you've got Pauline mentioned so many different countries as well. And how is the reception and how is the relationship? Because for you, I think relationships are also super important.
Uh, the reception was very good. I mean, I think Emoria has always been known as a heritage brand, and when I came on as a creative director, I felt that we couldn't just stay stagnant in that. We had to continue moving forward, uh, expanding uh, our craft. So just the way we make things, just not making them the same way all the time, and looking for a new language within the material properties of what we're known for, which is bamboo and rattan. So, and then if you look at furniture made out of bamboo and rattan, it's a very specific aesthetic that comes from the structural quality of the material. So for this collection, it's a lot more contemporary because we wanted to expand that language, and it actually received very good reception. I think people were surprised to see that from us, and then that also that material could be rendered in that way.
Well, I'll need to move on to Jackie, but I know that you also do collaborations in terms of, because sometimes people want something unique. So it's your original structure, or, but with a little tweaks for them to have it for themselves, right?
Yes, yes,
All right. So
definitely.
we'll move on to Jackie now. Maybe you can first share your experience in M&O and, of course, your experience working with Rita and Gabby.
Yeah, hi, good morning, everyone. Absolutely. Well, um, basically, we were all caught in the pandemic, but luckily, through digital technology, we were able to actually, follow the process, and with the guidance of Rita and Gabby, I mean, we came up with, a set of, products that could be featured in moms. So I mean, obviously there was logistical challenges, but like I said, in the end, it was very easy, in terms of, the communication flow. And I mean, Gabby and Rita were really encouraging. So that made it very easy.
And in terms of, inquiries from different parts of the globe and handling it, Tisha did touch on that, and the importance of being fast and being able to also choose which of your pieces are marketable in certain parts of different countries. How was your experience with that? Did you also have to have like around the clock person taking care of your social media accounts? I mean, your online presence.
Yeah, actually, yes, we do have somebody, but I was actually doing a lot of the replying myself as well, just like Tisha. In fact, I wanted to be really hands-on the process, especially being our first time doing the digital platform. And in fact, as she mentioned already, it really pays off to put in the time. And more than anything, you have to be prompt and be ready to answer all the questions that they have from price. And you have to be ready with price, and maybe a catalog that Rita already mentioned is critical with specs. People will want to verify the sizes of a certain product. Do you offer in a particular color? Be ready to answer questions of lead time. And as Edie Pauline mentioned, people are looking for shorter lead times. So you really have to plan your production and be able to respond to the needs of the market, because at the end of the day, people don't have much time to wait. Of course, given the pandemic, maybe people are a bit more patient, but markets like the US, where actually sales have gone back to pre-COVID days, as I have learned. So speed is speed in responding is critical, to be able to also build that rapport and credibility, as a producer. So that gives the customer that confidence, that, hey, this person is on top of things. So it definitely helps a lot. But there's a lot of going back and forth, of course, and you have to also make yourself available. Like I actually made it a point to mention they can also reach us through WhatsApp, apart from just email, regular email, whether it's through calling. So that was critical for us to be available.
Well, the fact that you're available and they want answers right away, another lesson learned for everybody is that it's also a patience game for you guys.
Correct.
And talk to us about that, because now the buyer is a lot more savvy in terms of doing the research and having to think it over. So it's a patience game for all of you as well.
Absolutely. And as you said, it's not going to happen overnight. You really have to go back and forth before somebody will finalize the order. It could take, it depends. It may take a few months before, or even, as Rita said, it could be a year, but you just never know. That doesn't mean that you cannot get an order next month, actually, when you least expect it. And of course, you want to hire those possibilities by you being responsive and attentive to the client promptly.
Of course, and with you, you're also catering to different sizes of orders, because lighting is also a different animal altogether. So sometimes it can be smaller orders, and so with shipment and all of the restrictions also that comes with quarantine and lockdown in different countries, and of course right here, what was your experience with that?
Well, definitely, there's a lot of coordinating, and also you also have to understand more about the logistical process and in terms of the options that the client has of shipment. So you also have to do your own research and be proactive so that when the client comes to you, Jackie, what would be the best way to ship it? You know, it's coming from the Philippines to a certain country. So in our case, you know, we have our own broker that can assist us with those questions, so I can readily provide that information to my client. But it's definitely a must for you to understand, you know, in terms of the costing and what it will entail for the client, you know, because that's, you know, they will add that to whatever price, the, you know, the purchase price that they're getting the item from you. So you really have to understand and be well versed with that, with the logistics and understanding, you know, offering options. Actually, in fact, it's, you know, we have a couple of people that we work with to assist us and to have a point of comparison. But yes, it's certainly very important aspect.
Well, moving on to another aspect, which has been said by Rita, by Gabby, by Tisha, it's photography, and how you display your products. And with you, I think in particular, you were very focused on selling a certain lifestyle. So maybe you can talk to us about how you shifted into that. I mean, you even had your daughter help you out, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, with the
Yes,
photo.
that's right. I'm lucky that actually uh, my daughters are actually into digital marketing. And, you know, early on we discussed, you know, in the past we had focused in product photography, but we realized actually that you really have to invest in lifestyle photography to make an impact, you know, and for people to be able to visualize, you know, uh, your products and the aesthetic, and it's definitely gonna generate more feedback and more excitement. Also, you wanna do that. But apart from, you know, being committed to it, needless to say, it's an investment, you know, and with these times where, you know, there's a lot of unknowns, you know, maybe it stops a lot of people from it. But I mean, I would recommend, you know, in our case, you know, you start with a few products and then you see the results. Like going back to the mom platform, since this is going to be a year long, I mean, for us, I plan to have at least, you know, regular, you know, photo shoots so that we can have fresh content, you know, as much as possible. Even on every 2 weeks I like to be uploading new photography. So you just have to schedule this process to keep your profile fresh and exciting, you know, for people that visit.
All right. Well, it sounds like you and Tisha had similar lessons in terms of photography and on the digital sphere to make, or on your social media platforms to make sure that you are readily available for all parts of the world at any point during the day. So thank you so much for
Absolutely.
joining us. We'll be hearing from you both again as well, obviously during the panel discussion. But now I'd like to bring in mother and
Thank
daughter,
you.
Lolita Miss Lucci, also known as Miss Lucci, and Nicole, to talk about them, because with them it's a little bit of a different experience, because they've been known for a certain brand. I think it was called CDO Handmade Paper, and obviously you did make the shift and now you're known as Indigenous. So how did you come up with that, and why did you decide to make that shift?
Hi, good morning, everyone. Well, to answer that question, actually, it's all about branding. You know, I met a Dutch consultant who asked me a question like, what does CDO mean? And then I said, Cagayan de Oro City. And then she said, why are you promoting Cagayan de Oro City? You're not promoting your products. You see, so she said for us to dig deeper as to who we are, uh, who are the people we're working with. So for example, our suppliers for abaca are the indigenous people of Misamis Oriental and Bukidnon. And then abaca itself is indigenous to the Philippines. And we are also inspired by the local indigenous uh, arts and culture. So we are very, this word indigenous keep on popping up. And they are we finally decided that the word is indigenous for our brand. So in terms of our designs that are inspired by the indigenous arts, I would like to ask Nicole to explain our design journey with Rita and Gabi.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Our dedication is towards circular economy, which is our main thrust when before circular economy was coined. It has greatly influenced our design aesthetic as well. Organic, environmentally friendly, simple, and elegant. These words are emblematic of our brand indigenous. For our new collection with Rita and Gab, uh, we started when they shared their concept of bubble living, and we immediately liked it so much as it is really timely and relevant in this time of pandemic. And then they sent us their designs and their technical drawings for us to study and execute. Among the designs, we have with them the collection, Babayan collection, that are transcribed in our hanging lamps, scroll dividers, placemats, and paper vessels. So every week we communicated with them through our prototyping stages. So first stage, we make a mock-up for their designs. And after we do it, we send it back to them for their feedbacks and for improvements. After hearing their improvements or their feedbacks, we then revise it for the final approval or for more feedbacks to improve on. So from there, there's constant communication until we arrive to the final prototype. I'd like to share more on the Baybayin collection. Uh, when we knew about it, we were really intrigued by the Baybayin script and were awed of its meaning. Buyers' reactions were the same. They were engaged by it, asking questions, what's the meaning of this in every item. So we shared to them that in our hanging lamps, what is transcribed there is hangin. In English, it means wind. In our placemats, written there was kain or let's eat. So inviting um, guests to come join at the dining table. On our scroll dividers, written there was sulat. And in our paper vessels, written there is ingat or take care. So when they understood the whole story of the whole collection, they immediately shared feelings of excitement. And we have received numerous inquiries for those in the Baybayin collection and sample orders from Greece, France, Italy, Finland, to name a few. And just today, this morning, came in a sample order from Iceland. And we're really grateful for this collaboration with Rita and Gal.
Well, I love that. I think your shift in name has brought you back to the very spirit of your brand. And I think this is what Rita and Gabby got to collaborate with you on. And this is why it became so successful. But what else did you learn from your M&O experience? I mean, I know that mother and daughter, you were talking to MOM themselves because you wanted to also fortify your online presence. And talk to us about what advice they gave you for that.
Okay. First of all, we wanted to reply right away to the client's inquiry. And most of the times, the subject would be like they want some copies of catalogs. So I changed that by saying like instead of catalog as a subject, I would say hello from the Philippines. So I'm trying to, create some excitement in the otherwise boring exchange of communication. And then I would ask them to visit our website, to see our catalogs. We have 3 years of catalogs published in our website, like for 2018, 2019, and 2020. The 2019 were also by Rita and Gabi because we were also participants of the 2019 Maison&Objet. And then in our website is quite a story because we participated in local trade fairs and then we uploaded our photos and then waited, just waited for the buyers to come in. And then I complained that nobody was coming in. So the organizers of this local trade fair said that, ma'am, you have to upload photos in your Facebook, in your, Instagram, and then ask your friends to share, like. So that's what that's what we did. Our marketing manager, Eunice Cabandit is my daughter, did the social media part. But I was so worried because we're not targeting the 500,000 guests invited by MOM to the digital fair. And then I was thinking, even if I have a local traction, I am not meeting the target market. And because I have a very limited, Facebook presence. So what I did was to write to MOM. I think I used 3 email addresses, hoping that one of them would reply to my question, like, how can I generate foot traffic to my are already in the MOM platform. You are one of the microsites. In a mall, and then you have a store inside the mall. And if you don't do activities within your store, you are closed. Your shop is closed. So uh, we have to do something. So the MOM replied that I have to go to my exhibitors, what you call this, as exhibitors platform or our own microsite and observe what the MOM is doing. So we observe that they feature products, they feature companies, and then they have talks, and then they have all kinds of news articles. So I realized that we do the same in our own microsite. So we featured our suppliers, we featured our old products, and then all our old news articles. So we kept on doing very busy activities, and we observed that every day the inquiries are really coming so strong. And in fact, when I checked my first email, there was already an order, and even before the show started.
Well, you know what? We also know that I'm sure you've also changed up your product look and design in terms of offering it with photography and all of this. Maybe you can talk to us more about the design revisions and cite sample ongoing orders and negotiations if you can, because I'm sure.
Yeah, Nicole can expand
Yep.
on
Go
that.
ahead, Nicole.
For the revisions of the designs, uh, well, really didn't veer away from our emblem or the look or the brand of our indigenous. And then we just tweak from the paper processes or the manipulation of our materials.
Exactly, because I think it's important as long as you know who you are and what your brand is, the tweaking to sort of help refresh and renew your offerings must have helped you a lot. So maybe you can tell us the lessons that you've learned from the local trade fairs, because the MOM or MNO is a whole different sphere altogether.
Um, the number one lesson is you should engage your buyers. You should find ways to engage. That, like replying to their inquiry is not enough. You have to like chase for them. And one way we did that was to offer options like a small order, because at this point in a virtual show, you cannot expect a 120-footer container order. So in that small order, meaning 1 CBM. So we will tell them that in 1 CBM, you have options of an assortment of products that you like, and you have to tell them how much it will cost. So if it is favorable for them, they will make that fast decision to order the small order, which is our objective. So, engaging them to really be not losing them, that they will continue to order. So when they order their first 1 CBM, you have to make sure that you have the best quality item in that box. So that's very important. But in the entire trade show, virtual show, we realized the importance of photography. We had our own journey for that, and Nicole was at the forefront of our photography journey. Nicole?
Well, Nicole, maybe you can talk about it briefly, because I think everyone's also talked about their journey in terms of changing up their
Right.
photos for better reception, because we'll head to the panel discussion right after you answer this question, Nicole.
All right. For project photography, we collaborated with Studio 8, an advertising photography company here in Cagayan de Oro City. And then we shared to them Titan's photography direction for both individual project shoot and lifestyle or visual merchandising shoot. So the experience there, I was physically present in the set or in the studio to make sure that the brief or the photography direction was followed. And also during the lifestyle shoot or the visual merchandising shoot, I was there also directing and assisting the photographers on what items to highlight for this first lifestyle shoot, and then for the next and for the third lifestyle shoot. There are also times that I was not able to be physically present in the studio for the setup of lifestyle shoots, though instead I sent them sketches or drawings and list of products to highlight. So from there, exchange of communications and test shoots were sent to me for approval. And from then on, I think all in all, we have came up or produced with good quality photos.
All right, with that, I'd like to thank you so much, Lucia and Nicole, for all of your insights as well. I mean, from what all of you, photography seems to be top of mind when it comes to all of the lessons learned. Everyone did touch on that. Everyone did touch on patience as well, about how you as a supplier or as the exhibitor, you have to be straight on with answers right away, but then you have to be patient about people getting back to you. It's also about collaboration with everybody. I mean, these are some of the key words or takeaways that I've taken, especially also the constant updating of your social media content, just so that people feel that it's always fresh and new. So with that, I'd like to bring back everyone to the panel discussion. We'd like to welcome back Edie Pauline Suaco Juan, Rita Nazareno, Gabi Lichauco, Nicole and Lolita Cabanlet, Jackie Benson, and Tisha de Borja Sampson. Wow, quite a panel we have here. So we're also encouraging all of our guests on the other side of the screen that our attendees can type in the questions for our panelists in the chat box. And we're also streaming live on Manila Fame's Facebook page and of course on Hop In. So now with the panel discussion, maybe we start the questions with Jackie. You have 10 months left in MOM. What are your plans in terms of maintaining and continually attracting and engaging buyers to your site and the platform? You did talk about photography, how it's super important.
Correct, correct. And at the same time, I also have to, I'm actually continuously revamping through the MOM platform. Of course, you want to lead people to your social media, like Instagram, but your website is also very critical, as well as your Facebook page. So So that means that I'm actually in the middle of revamping our website, just so that it continues to, to be fresh and with photography again, but also with content. And you do need help. I mean, luckily, like I mentioned, my daughters are actually the social media marketing, so they are part of this, process and helping us to keep it updated. Um, at the same time, it's just also, like we're looking at a newsletter that we can send to, building a database based on all the traffic that we receive through Mom or and through Manila Fame now, so that you can also send. I mean, sometimes a short newsletter saying about a new product, and also the same. I mean, going back to what else I will do, also continuous product development, because we, while these are, challenging times, this is also a time that where there will be opportunities, to showcase in our global platforms.
Ready mo question.
Yes,
Thank
exactly. Exactly. So at this point, though, since I already have you on the screen, how the photos are nice, but then you also have to back it up with a very good product. So
Correct.
how are you thinking, or how are you forwarding the development of your products as well, apart from the whole look of the lifestyle and your online content? Because at the end of the day, the product is what the buyer is after.
Correct, correct. So you also have to, I mean, do continuous market research in terms of what the client needs, adapting to, of course, the new normal where people will be spending more time at home, the different applications, maybe nice lighting for your home office. And so finding, being innovative in terms of also the actual application of, what you would be creating, and that people, that there will be a higher demand for it, which, like I said, right now people are spending more time in the home. So luckily for us, actually, there are different applications of lighting throughout your house, but, top of mind came your home office, for instance, where, people are having, to set up home offices as well.
Exactly. So, Miss Lucci, maybe I can ask you the same question. What are you doing in terms of developing new collections and your product design? Because you're already in the process of that. But since we always have to refresh and offer new content, what are your plans for that?
Because for we have in the past we have been I mean within the MOM for the past 2 months we picked up all kinds of photos, just to upload and then to update our news articles. But this time for the next 10 months we're going to organize our content from its significance. Yeah, and then we're going to post it maybe every week or every 2 weeks. So that's going to be managed by our marketing manager. And then in terms of product development, I would like to say that kudos to Rita and Gabi, because our designs are really simple and very, very restrained. There is such, I think that's the most difficult to achieve, the restraint on our product design, because that's what the feedback we have. So along that line, our products will still reflect the original simple designs and that are indigenous. These are the ones that have attracted our buyers. And Rita and Gabi never departed from that, our roots. They have enhanced it, and we are really very appreciative. At a start, we thought that the buyers might, not discover us because of its simplicity. But it turned out that that simplicity itself has attracted them. So I'm very thankful.
Exactly. Thank you so much for that response. Now we'll head on over to Edie Pauline with a question. Now, we repeatedly heard the importance of producing high quality imagery, content, and doing your own promotion. How do you think this should be taken into consideration in terms of budget preparation for the exporters. What's a good content for export promotions and marketing, and how can one get access to good content producers? And I believe that as a community, you guys all also share your
Ako
resources.
nang gi-unmute ako ah.
Yes, actually, um, in terms of budget, Lex, that's something that we are really looking because we've never really done it in Saitem before. So the extent of the marketing budget was really to put up the physical participation. But at this point, especially if we do hybrid shows and then you have a digital presence on Fame Plus and on MOM, for example, that's there 24/7, then we realize that you continuously have to have images in your digital storefront. So we were able for Fame Plus, for example, and for MOM to subsidize the photography for all the exhibitors who participate. For MOM, all the exhibitors that participated, and then for Fame Plus, we did it for 100 exhibitors. No? But moving forward, there are things that the companies can do on their own to like speed up production of images, because that's something that they can prioritize on their own budget. Although Saitem itself really does realize the importance of the images in terms of searchability. Now, let me dwell a little bit on this, because I think when you say that images are important, especially on digital, you have to realize that when you're on the feed of MOM, for example, or of on Fame Plus, for example, or if you're on Facebook and Instagram, it really, the feed goes by really fast, and the user behavior is you just scroll through the your feed really quickly. So you stop when there is a compelling image. Okay. So and then you decide if you engage or not based on what made you stop. So I think we earlier on we had Miss Lucci had said, you know, my buyers are primarily trade and they're on MOM and not really on social media. Let me elaborate how, or let me just explain how these all interact, right? Um, for example, your social media presence, or and that's why we at Saitem really also make huge efforts to be active on social media. It's because that makes you discoverable. So even if your followers currently are not the buyers that you want to, the mere fact that you're posting and that you're posting content on, let's say, home and lamps and lighting, for example, Facebook's algorithm picks up on that, and you become visible or searchable to people who are looking for those keywords. And when we place ads, because we do that for Fame Plus or for or our participation in MOM, then it really will target the people who are interested in home, fashion, and lifestyle sectors to be led to your content. So that's why the whole thing plays off one another. And then because we're all networked, like CDO is a part now of the Manila Fame Network, is part of Emurios Network, is part of Venzon's network, then you kind of have a symbiosis happening, and you kind of play off one another's network. And in essence, that's what social media really does. It leverages your network, my bigger network, for example, and everybody's other networks. And then together, the entire community is able to benefit from the shared content that we do. And this is what we mean always when we say community. It's a community platform, and we're doing community building, because you never discount how effective or how far one tiny post can go, especially for an audience who's interested in the same things that you are posting.
Exactly.
Habang sinabi ko.
Okay lang. Because it's a modern take on no publicity is bad publicity. Because, I mean, even if maybe this is not your market necessarily, it's also about the network, right? And how
Right.
this builds, you all build on each other, and all of your networks end up helping each other out as well. Thank you for that answer, Edie Pauline. Long, but I mean necessary, right? Because everyone's here to learn. So now the next question will be going to Rita and Tisha. I mean, jumping off of that, Rita, you did mention that Imurio had a bar that was there for quite a while, but all you had to do was do a refresh of it, and all of a sudden, like, all of these new potential buyers were super interested. So, you did present a diverse range of products and designs, but was there a surprise in terms of which products were received better by buyers? I mean, is it more of old versus new? I mean, did you have to, because obviously that was an older product, but it was so well received. Rita, maybe you can start.
I think
Yeah.
I think it's really it was a mix for me, and I think it was a mix for everyone. It can't really just be, either or. And for me as an exhibitor, it was a mix of the home accessories as well as the bags. And for Maison, you'd think it would be more home stuff, right? But we had a fair share of companies wanting the bags too. So mostly lifestyle boutiques. But the candy lamps with Gabby got the most inquiries, as Pauline had mentioned, and that we've done, that was like 5 years ago maybe that we did it. So and also we got a fair share of bespoke pieces being negotiated, which I actually enjoy. And we have orders being done now, being negotiated from like Europe, Turkey, America, and the UK. Another thing though, when we go to Premier Class, which is another trade show, we have our fair share of clients from Japan and Korea, and surprisingly zero from MNO with Japan and Korea. And I wonder if there's like a language barrier. But anyway, oh, another thing about the products you were mentioning, the black home accessories that I had didn't get much inquiries, maybe because it was black, and it was harder to photograph. But when I actually shared our catalog to the buyers who had asked for other products, they actually started buying the black home accessories, which was funny. There were no inquiries, but we got orders for them. So we got to kind of figure out the logic also behind that. So we're producing that now. So that's pretty cool. So Tisha.
I think same as Rita. Like the Papa Bar was, I think, also about 5 years old, and it was really a it's not our usual piece. The finishing, I mean, we're using rattan, but we don't have any weaves in it, and it really got um, people were so interested in it. And I think that what it tells me is that people are interested in seeing, the material of rattan and bamboo in new ways and different finishes.
All right. Well, I mean, it's just so interesting, and we're all still learning. Like Rita, you were saying that, you're not really sure why, let's say, markets like Japan and Korea are not as responsive to certain things. But then again, they may be responsive if it's like a Facebook thing, or I mean, we really can't tell. And I'm sure that this whole year as being part of MOM is going to be a great learning experience for you moving forward. Now, the next question is for Gabby and for Nicole. Now, you were doing product development and all the preparation at the height of the pandemic. I mean, this is really not easy because everything is super uncertain, So product development or design in general should be the least of your concern. Now, why do you think it's important that companies continue creating and presenting something new and participating in product development and capability building activities at this point?
Can I start, Gab?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I think investment in product design and photography is important, especially in to replace the tactile experience, and then especially that we're already on virtual trade shows. So the clients look for new products every time, and they are always looking forward for Philippine trade shows and what Philippines can offer. So we have to keep updated. And the trends, we understand that they are ever changing and ever evolving. And the only way is to connect with designers. For designers, they trust that for them to learn and update themselves through material research and market research.
And with Gabby, I mean, I'm sure that, even though we can't really all see each other in person, I'm sure that it's become a little more easier, convenient to have meetings with different parts of the whole network because, everyone is online. Has that helped you?
Well, I think what helped us earlier was when we worked with them last year, we were able to see what they're capable of doing, the company itself, the artisans themselves, the material. So that helped us a lot. So when we migrated to Zoom, it was much easier for us already to conceptualize. But also, I think what's important for these companies is to a continuation of product development, material development. It's part of their growth. And I've seen through the years companies here in the Philippines, especially the ones who's been participating in in Manila Fave, have developed into international names already. I think that's important to head to that direction. You have to constantly evolve. They themselves, the companies themselves, um, to evolve is also to grow. So I guess those two things has to be hand in hand together. And to do that, it's you need to continuously do product development regardless of whether you know uh, things are not doing so well, but then these are the ones that are going to uplift the company, new designs, like what we've noticed through MOM, these and what they've mentioned earlier on. So these new designs are going to help open new markets for them as well.
All right, thank you very much for that. Now we have an audience question finally for Edie Pauline from Henry Chua. For a brand that's participating in Fame Plus already, what makes them qualified to transition over to M&O?
Are we well? There are basic uh, exporting experience that you should have, and then of course the necessary certifications and registrations. So those have to be in place, but those are really technical requirements. Um, you need to be able to, I think, get into that exporting mindset, get into a customer service mindset, get into a business oriented mindset for you uh, to take on bigger challenges. So one of the things I think that's been repeatedly said in this forum is the need to respond quickly when there are inquiries, and we cannot stress and underline that customer service aspect is really one of the things that um, could make or break the deal. In past participations of trade fairs abroad, I've talked to buyers who really were saying that um, their experience with several Philippine exporters is that they're kind of absent on email. So in terms of, let's say, how long it takes for you to give a quote, to send a line sheet, to reply to email. So that thing is so super important, since there are so many buyers, or there are so many options online. So your competition is that big. So I'll leave it at that. But in the general thing is really, you have to think bigger, and you have to be, your ambition has to really be to be international, because it's a lot of hard work to be able to constantly especially because it's an online platform and 24/7, to be able to constantly give the ultimate client service to your buyers.
So you have to have the exporter hat on 24/7. All right. So the next question is from Hopin, and anyone can answer this. How will you keep the momentum going and let the culture of design and collaboration grow, not just in the years to come, but in the succeeding generations? Who'd like to answer that question? Don't be shy, guys. Jump in. Gabby looks like he's ready to answer, yeah?
I was gonna say Rita.
Okay.
No, I mean, for me, you really need to innovate and create, collaborate with new designers or different designers, research the things that interest you. I think that's important instead of like really just looking at trends all the time, or I think what interests you, that means someone else will be interested in it, and then your passion will show. And you figure out new processes and techniques that are that could work with your material and really expand your horizons. Like what Pauline said, I mean, think big. Whatever keeps you stuck, let go of it. And guys, change is uncomfortable, change is inevitable, just accept it, and don't fight it. Right.
Wonderful. And just move it on to the next generation, because I think when they see the practices that you're doing now, I mean, it will hopefully flow easily to them as well. The next question is from Marty. This is an interesting one because it's really not technical, but it's a learning one. What are the top three inquiries that were received by brands, by your brands, and from which channel? So maybe we start with you, Tisha. What are the top three inquiries, or what are the major questions asked, and from what platform?
Ours was really mostly from Instagram, and then we just moved it to email and to WhatsApp. Uh, the inquiries were were really more products. They wanted to see the catalogs, a wider array of products that we could offer, and of course, yes, pricing is very important.
So social media really does play a big role at the end of the day. I mean,
Yes.
it's a good partner to have. Maybe Miss Lucci, you can answer for you what the top three inquiries were by the brand and from what channel.
Okay, the top three inquiries were mostly on our lamps and then our paper clay. I'd like to pick up from what Rita said about innovation, because the paper clay is an innovation that we have introduced, and we have that's a top three in our inquiries. And then what's the next question?
And what channel
What?
did you hear
Okay,
it from?
what channel? Sorry, what channel? It's the MON channel. Yeah, we received around 85 inquiries as of today, all through the MON.
Wow, interesting. And who did Jackie? Jackie, what's your response to this question?
Yes, just like Miss Lucia, also it was through M1M, and it was well, I can name products. Actually, our top three products will be the our cherry blossom collection, as well as the Benjamin collection, and we also receive inquiries on the matrix as well.
All right. And well, Rita, you're also an exhibitor, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I keep forgetting that you have two hats in this scenario. So what about you? What was your response to that?
We got a lot of inquiries through MNO and also through Instagram. And for us, it's as we've mentioned, the lamps, the candy lamps with Gabby. The bags had a lot of inquiries as well, and I'm actually in quite a few orders. And also, actually, the little table, the three-legged table that we did in collaboration with Miguel Rosales, that was really quite popular for us as well.
And what channel did you hear from?
Both MNO and Instagram for us.
All right, so we're gonna go into our final. Oh, Paul has something to say. Edie Paul, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say you never can tell with the products, right? Because I
Never.
remember when you first debuted the three-legged colored table at Manila Fame last year, and then we were there in the sideline saying, why isn't this getting more attention than it should have? And then 1 year later, you have Patty Carpenter picking it out, right? So
Yeah.
uh, I think that's the good thing about digital also, it's a completely different audience with completely different wants and needs. So it's the same product. So I find that actually fascinating, that
Yeah.
you just change the context and then you have completely new buyers.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Don't discount the old, because these are all your babies, right? It's like forgetting your first child because your fifth child is getting so much attention, but you never know, right? So finally, we have one more question. This is for Tisha and Rita. There remains a population among exporters who don't want to go into digital and bring their products online because they're afraid that their designs would be copied. I mean, this is pretty much um, an important issue as well. How did you get over this fear, and what can you say to those companies who still possess that line of thinking? Is the benefit of expanding your digital reach something that outweighs the risk of being copied? And have you guys ever been copied? Have you had that
Uh,
experience?
well, I'll start, Tisha. It's time that they got on the train, or they will seriously get left behind. I think two, three things. One, I like for me, I try to make things that are unique to me. So it is harder to copy it, but that's easier said than done. Number two, before I would say, well, let them copy. And by the time they're figuring out how to copy our work, I will be on to the next one. But that's also a bit unfair for me, right? So making sure you have your designs registered is a huge step. Actually, Pauline urged me as soon as she saw the photos of the bee design, for the bag and for the collaboration with Weave Manila. She said to make sure that they're registered. So I had my niece immediately do it for me online in the IP office. And this was a week before MNO started when she saw the photographs. So it was actually done all online except for the notary part. It's not very difficult to do at all. I'm having actually another one of my nieces and their newly graduated friends do a whole bunch of designs for them to register for us. And so that helps. And again, as I said earlier, innovate and create. That's what you can do for me, huh?
Exactly. So get on the train or get left behind. Tisha, what are your thoughts?
I agree with everything Rita says. Let's say my mom, who's also my boss, always has this, I think, fear of that. And I always tell her, we don't have a choice. We have to move forward. And we cannot afford to not be on social media, not get our products up there. And what Rita said is, you're making things that are unique to your brand, unique to your way of doing things. I think that's really key. Uh, Making things that really reflect who you are is one of the best protections you can have. Of course, copywriting is also a good thing. And we actually had a discussion yesterday with Rita and Gabby about how to do this, just how to go about doing it, because we both have had issues with it in the past.
Exactly. So, Pauline, you know what? Round it off for us. Give us your closing argument, your final thoughts, because we're gonna wrap it up now.
No, may I just interject first on the IP question? I wanted to also say, well, first of all, you really need to have your intellectual property registered, because if you ever intend to go after a counterfeit, then or somebody pirating you, then you can't unless you own the intellectual property rights, right? So as Rita said, it's fairly easy to register. The second thing that I wanted also to say is that if you put it up on social media, it is like a social record as well, a history of when you actually put it up. And I think one of the things, particularly in the design community, that's been prevalent is that there are people who watch out for counterfeits, people who copy. Um, Diet products an example of this, and people who really call out online. So there is some sort of a mechanism that comes in, right? In terms of that, but uh, what So if you think that if you post it online, you may be copied. The flip side of that really is if you post it online, that's the actual memory of when you first put forward your product, and nobody can take that away from you. So that is your claim to I did it first, right? So there.
Alrighty, and with that, I mean, we've learned so much today, but most importantly, I'd like to give a wonderful congratulations to everyone who is part of MNO this year. It sounds like you guys are doing super well. The collaboration seems to be working very well for everybody, and the takeaways are just so much, and you're going to continue to learn and bring it to the Filipino sphere in terms of those who want to perhaps join eventually. So with that, I'd like to thank so much Rita, Tisha, Gabby, Miss Lucci, Nicole, and of course, Edie Pauline for that informative session. We look forward to more conversations like this with Fame Plus. Thank you so much, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Noem, we've learned how, that amid challenging times, Philippine design continues to thrive and that there are promising opportunities for more entrepreneurs and artisans to present their designs to a bigger and more diverse market through the digital sphere. Very important. On that note, please make sure to visit all 13 Philippine brands at the MOM website or Fame Plus website. Once again, thank you very much, everybody who joined us this morning. This has been Lexi Schulze. Have a great weekend, everybody.
you.